Yo, yo, yo. What's happening, chat? You already know what the fuck going on, man. You feel me? And we back with another one. Let me drink my water. We back with another one, chat. As y'all know, as everybody knows, I'm pretty sure, we've been following this Nipsey Hussle case. It definitely done been brought back to the light. They had closed it because the guy, Eric Holder, who originally was charged with killing Nipsey, he was charged. So, you know what I'm saying? It was closed. But new details have arisen or spawned, so to speak, about the case. And it's surrounding one of the prominent leaders, so to speak, in Big U. Big U has been apprehended by the federal government. Him with a long line of other Rollin 60s. Every day more and more information is coming out about this subject, bro. You feel me? Adam 22 had an interview with a guy by the name of, I want to say, Loose Cannon. He's a part of that too as well. And the interview that he gave was crazy, gang. The details that he gave about Nipsey murder, about how Big U called him 30 minutes before Nipsey was actually killed, and told him that Nipsey died. So then he hang up with him, called Nipsey phone. Nipsey actually is still alive, and then they talk, then hang up the phone, and then 30 minutes later, he get the call that Nipsey actually died. So he feel like Big U actually called him before it was supposed to actually happen, or before it actually had happened. So he called him ahead of time. So Big U knew that Nipsey was getting ready to be killed. Which is crazy work, gang. Which is crazy work. Then also they talk about how Big U might be responsible for the death of an artist named RW, which is crazy because as I've been watching interviews, the guy RW was on Big U's football team. You see what I'm saying? So he watched the young man grow up, so he knew the young man. So that's mad crazy for him to do that. If he did do that, allegedly. All this is alleged. You see what I'm saying? But the feds got a very good they got a good case. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie, the information that's coming out is damn near undeniable. You know what I'm saying? And then how they was talking about how Big U was using his organization, his nonprofit organization, and he was getting donations from all these celebrities, and he wasn't always taking the money and putting it into the organization. He was pocketing a lot of the money. Yeah. This shit gets deep. They're paying Big U like the motherfucking boogeyman himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that buddy was like that, cause that shit's crazy. But yeah, so today, chat, what we gonna do is we gonna continuously follow this, man. You feel me? We got some videos to pop out with that. They just dropped another video about the Rollin 60s hit list. Crazy, right? Crazy. So we gonna go through and see all the people that the Rollin 60s actually put a hit out on, gang. So let's get it. Without further ado, let's gonna get into that. Let me see. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Where that at? Bang. All right, chat.
'60s gang facing series of shocking crimes with Eugene Big U Henley and several.
Said is what I was told. So they killed that.
Junior, aka Big U, is now in custody.
He's also accused of the 2021 murder of rapper RW. So RW,
that's the young man I was telling y'all about that he's supposed to play on his football team, which is crazy.
Responsible for Nipsey, Rayan Williams, PNB Rock.
Yo, I didn't even know about PNB Rock, gang. That's crazy work. That man was just at Roscoe's trying to get some chicken, and you had that man plucked off because he didn't tap in. That's crazy.
Mondo's cousin, Fats.
Like they always say, you ain't a Rollin 60s till you kill one. And honestly, there's some truth in that if you look at it. However, the 60s have never exactly
hold you, that's
steered
one gang
clear
I
of
never joined
involvement in
in, gang.
external hits and murders too. From the alleged killing of Nipsey Hussle,
Yeah, Nip was getting bigger than the set, cuz. And don't nobody get bigger than the set is what I was told. So they killed that.
They do say that part of the investigation involves the murder of another young rapper. And they told me over the phone that the murder was over, are you ready for this? A diss. That he had written something in a song supposedly talking bad about Big U.
They don't really us until it's a problem. Then they call him. Like Quando Rondo. You can't call me when the fire hot. You didn't with me before that.
it's clear they've had it going for a long time. Let's dive in. Recent occurrence, alleged murder of Rayan Williams. First, let's get into one of the more recent and troubling cases, the story of Rayan Williams. As you might have heard, authorities recently made arrests in connection to a series of shocking crimes, with Eugene Big U Henley and several members of the Rollin 60s gang facing serious charges ranging from extortion to murder.
Federal officers arrested more than a dozen members tied to the gang known as the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips.
At a news conference this morning, the U.S. Attorney's Office announcing charges against Eugene Henley Jr. Authorities say Henley is responsible for murder, drug, and human trafficking. Also extortion.
But one case that's really grabbing attention is the murder of Rayan.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Las Vegas off of the I-5.
Gang. They said he murdered the young boy and dumped his body off the interstate. Bro, like, you were his coach, apparently. If any of this shit is true, gang, the level of trust and betrayal that you just crossed is, oh my God.
I-15 freeway.
Rayan Anthony Williams' dream before music was to play in the NFL. Big U had actually coached him in football from a young age, and over time, Rayan came to see him as a mentor, someone he could trust. He even lived with Big U for a bit during high school since he and Big U's son were close. But things started to fall apart. At one point, Big U accused Rayan of wearing a chain that belonged to his son without permission. That moment ended with Rayan being kicked out of the house. By 2021, he was living with his older cousin in California and was signed under Big U's Unique Music. He was working on a project with a producer under the label, and Big U set up the whole trip. Airbnb, travel, studio time for Rayan to head to Las Vegas and get to work. The plan was simple: record one song a day. But when Rayan got to Vegas on January 19th, things didn't go as planned. He missed a couple studio sessions and told one of Big U's associates he'd make up for it by doubling up the next day. On January 20th, instead of doing that, he recorded an unreleased diss track, one that police later found and believe was aimed directly at Big U.
I just want the dough, what I'm worried about. Doing all that talking, he just want the clout, so I'ma pull up to his crib.
Word of the track got back to Big U. Between that and the wasted studio time, tension boiled over. 2 days later, on January 23rd, Big U and his associate Sylvester reportedly drove from LA to Vegas. They got there around 2 a.m. on January 24th. That night, Big U showed up to Rayan's Airbnb and confronted him about not showing up to the studio. Rayan said he didn't have a ride. A friend of his was there during the conversation too. Later that same night, around 9 p.m., Big U pulled up at the studio. Rayan arrived around 11 p.m. and recorded until midnight. Big U left the studio shortly after, around 12:37 a.m., but here's where things get weird. The gray sedan they drove to Vegas suddenly vanished. Big U's phone stopped reporting any location data just before 1 a.m., with its last ping right near the studio. Then, at around 1:13 a.m., surveillance footage showed the same gray sedan pulling up to Rayan's Airbnb. He came out with a suitcase, put it in the trunk, got in the car, and that was the last time anyone saw him alive. Even though the Airbnb was booked for another day and his flight wasn't until the next day, Rayan left with no sign of coming back. Both of Big U's phones didn't start tracking again until 2:15 a.m. By 2:30 a.m., Big U was back at the studio, alone, in the same sedan, drenched in sweat. He told the security guy he just come back from the gym.
When this alleged murder of the rapper happened that they're blaming Big U for, I guess they're saying that you turned off his phone, you know, like before he went, and then he turned it back on when he got back to the studio. That's evidence against him as well.
Man,
he's
listen,
doing that.
The feds got so much technology that we don't even know.
A few hours later, around 9 a.m., Rayshawn's body was found in a ditch near Interstate 15. He'd been shot several times and dragged to the spot.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Las Vegas off of the I-15 freeway.
Location data showed Big U left Vegas around 10 a.m. that same morning. DNA was collected from Rayshawn's ankle, and while the sample wasn't conclusive, it didn't rule Big U out either. Then it got even more suspicious. Just a couple days after the murder, Big U had the studio equipment removed, and any surveillance footage that might have captured what happened was wiped. He even had the security guard take a walk while it all went down. Investigators believe that footage might have shown an altercation between Big U and Rayshawn on the night of the 24th. On January 27th, Rayshawn's aunt called Big U after finding out he'd been killed. He told her he hadn't seen or heard from Rayshawn. She also told investigators that Big U used to call her every week, but after that phone call, she never heard from him again. Through it all, everyone close to Rayshawn, family, friends, people who knew the story, pointed to the same person. They all believe Big U was the one responsible for his death. Next up, we've got Nipsey Hussle. March 31st, 2019, the day the world lost someone way more than just a rapper. Nipsey was a leader, a visionary, the kind of person who didn't just talk about change, he lived it.
The era I grew up in, you know, you kind of had to put your unique ambition to the back. You know, there was a culture around here that was very aggressive. It was real stingy, just the gang culture.
He built businesses, created jobs, invested in his community, and showed people the power of ownership. He wasn't just trying to survive the streets, he was trying to change them. The most painful part about his death was the fact that he was actually trying to pull younger generations out of the very life that ended up taking him. Just a day before he was killed, Nipsey was supposed to be in a meeting with the LAPD and Rock Nation, discussing real solutions for gang violence and how to build a better relationship between cops and the community. But then the tragedy hit, and when it did, people started talking. Quiet whispers turned into loud accusations, and one name kept coming up again and again: Eugene Big U Henley.
Everybody know Big U and Nipsey had an argument, homie. Everybody know Big U was shaking Nipsey Hussle down, making him pay protection fee, sorta. Nipsey Hussle got smart and say, I don't want to pay you $20,000 a month no more.
Thing is, this wasn't just out of nowhere. If you go back to 2011, there was already tension. That year, the LAPD was involved in a shooting near Crenshaw and Slauson, right after a fight between Nipsey and Big U. According to witnesses, the two had gotten into it near an alley behind a Shell gas station in Hyde Park. Words flew, things got physical, and then Nipsey's brother, Black Sam, pulled out a gun, not to shoot anyone, but just fired in the air, maybe to break things up. But before anyone could catch their breath, a cop rolled up and fired at Black Sam. Missed him, but it threw everything into chaos. That incident was all people needed to confirm that things between Nipsey and Big U were not cool. And when you throw in the drama with a label, it only got worse. A lot of people believe that's part of why Nipsey's debut album got shelved. Rumors were everywhere. Supposedly, Nipsey and Big U had a serious falling out over money. Some say Nipsey felt like Big U was trying to extort him and he wasn't having it. Then came the diss track, and that pretty much sealed the deal.
Busy getting rich, you think that I'm gonna stop for you? I built this on my own and everybody know it's true still.
From then on, anytime Big U had a chance, he applied pressure. There were multiple stories, like how he allegedly sent his people to mess with Nipsey during DJ Khaled's visit to their hood.
This someone being mad about the DJ Khaled video has to be Big U. What Black Sam did, he talked about certain things without talking about certain people.
In the end, Nipsey was killed by Eric Holder, a known Rollin 60s member.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Eric Ronald Holder Jr., guilty of the crime of first-degree murder.
That alone got people talking again, some even saying Big U might have had a hand in it, maybe even called the hit. Whether that's true or not, only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, the streets haven't stopped talking since, and this recent case might actually be drawing the curtain on it. Death of Sandman Nagus. Now let's rewind for a sec. Back in 2012, Sandman Nagus lost his life to gang violence, a heartbreaking end to a life that had already seen more than its fair share of struggle. He was born Sadar Fasai on January 12, 1986 in Bulgaria to Eritrean parents who were constantly on the move, trying to escape the fallout from the Ethiopia-Eritrea War. By 1993, when Sandman was just 7, his family made a life-changing move. They left it all behind and relocated to the US, hoping for a fresh start. They settled in Los Angeles, and Sandman started 2nd grade at Hyde Park Elementary. He grew up in the thick of it, right in Rollin 60s territory, 10th Avenue and Hyde Park, where the streets would end up shaping his path in ways no one could have predicted.
And landed here on 10th Avenue. Ever since then, I've been right here. I went to Hyde Park Elementary, down the street.
Before Nipsey Hussle became the face of unique music, Sandman was actually one of the first artists Big U ever worked with under that label.
Sandman Nagus, coming at you. Got next. No, you got now. Watch it.
Then came August 2nd, 2008. After a studio session, he was just dropping a friend off when he noticed something off. He was being followed. A group of gang members approached, a few words were exchanged, and then gunshots. Bullets tore through his windshield, hitting him 9 times, in the colon, liver, both lungs, diaphragm, shoulders, and neck. It was a miracle he survived it all. He went through 8 surgeries, spent 26 days in a coma, and somehow made it out alive. But that survival didn't last. On September 27, 2012, Sandman was shot and killed in an alley on the 4300 block of Crenshaw, just a short distance from Big U's unique studios. Not long after, whispers started flying, and a lot of the blame was directed at the Rollin 60s. Keith Stone Thomas, The Evolution of In-Gang Killing. To really understand how the Rollin 60s started to turn on their own, you have to take it all the way back to the 80s, during the height of the crack era. That was when things started to
I said the 80s, bro. Yo, we are in 2025. This nigga been gang banking for 50 years, cuz. Like, this shit is crazy.
Shift. Some members were cashing in heavy on the drug game, while others had no luck. And like anything involving fast money and unequal power, resentment started bubbling, the spark that really lit the fuse. The killing of Keith Thomas. Keith, better known as Stone around Crenshaw Boulevard, wasn't just any gang member. At 30, he was one of the most respected leaders in the Rollin 60s, but he was cut from a different cloth. While the younger generation was chasing clout, shiny jewelry, and fast fame, Stone was still rooted in that old-school mindset, the kind where loyalty, community, and pride in your block actually meant something. He came from that 1970s crip mentality. Back then, being down for the hood meant standing up for it, not tearing it down. Sure, he was deep in the game, especially during the crack trade, but he had principles. He lived by a code, and he wasn't afraid to speak out when he saw greed and betrayal rotting the crew from the inside.
From Keith Stone, I learned how to be a hustler and a father and a man and a leader all at that.
In his later years, Stone started moving different. He began pushing for peace, linking up with rival gangs and even rocking wooden African beads, a nod to his admiration for leaders like Malcolm X and Farrakhan. Some of the younger Rollin 60s gave him that OG respect and listened, but not enough to stop what came next. His death hit hard, real hard. The same violence he tried to steer them away from came back and swallowed him whole. One Rollin 60s member put it best: "We started out as brothers loving brothers. Now the neighborhood don't really trust each other no more. There used to be respect. Now it's like everybody's against everybody." Police chalked Stone's murder up to a drug deal gone wrong. His body was found face down in an avocado grove in Duarte, alongside his friend Daniel Chapman. Both were handcuffed, blindfolded, and shot execution style in the head. But the story behind it is even darker. Stone had rolled out to Duarte in a rented Ford Explorer with Danny riding shotgun. They were going to meet up with Anthony, a Duarte Crip that Stone trusted. The two had history. Anthony had been a regular guest at Stone's crib in Windsor Hills. They'd done business together, moved work on consignment. This trip, Stone was just collecting his cut. But when he pulled up to Anthony's place, things were already set in motion. Anthony had blown through the cash and made a deadly decision. He wasn't paying up. He was robbing Stone instead. As soon as they parked, it all went sideways. Stone and Danny were ambushed, forced out of the car at gunpoint, handcuffed, and blindfolded. The SUV was stripped clean. Word is, even while it was all happening, Keith tried to talk them down. "You ain't gotta do us like this, cuz," he pleaded. But it was already too far gone. Letting them walk wasn't on the table. The two men were shoved into the back of the SUV, covered with a shower curtain and a tablecloth, then driven miles away to that avocado grove. That's where they were executed. 1 bullet each. Cold, precise, final. The killer stitched the Ford Explorer and fled in another car, leaving Keith and Danny behind like they were nothing. When news hit that Stone had been killed, it shook the Rollin 60s to the core. Even the ones who had long since abandoned brotherhood for survival couldn't wrap their heads around it. Stone wasn't supposed to go out like that. Not betrayed, not set up, not executed by people he trusted. Eventually, 4 Duarte Crips were convicted for the murders, but the damage was already done. Stone's death marked a real turning point. After that, the cracks within the Rollin 60s became impossible to ignore. What was once about loyalty and unity had spiraled into distrust, betrayal, and survival at any cost. OG Banger T. Also, OG Banger T, he was another big name in the Rollin 60s, one of the legends who had love and respect from everyone in the hood. This guy wasn't just a gang member, he was a true hustler, a player, and made a ton of money while doing it. The 60s have always been all about getting money, and Banger T was the epitome of that, even when the crack era was at its peak. What made Banger T stand out was more than just his flashy style and signature Jerry curls. He had the charisma, the swagger, and the kind of leadership that made people listen. He wasn't just about the cars and the women, though yeah, he had that, but he made sure the younger guys in the hood knew they had someone to turn to. Advice, support, even cash when they needed it, he was always looking out for his people. To this day, Banger T's name is still buzzing in the 60s. People say he had a huge hand in shaping the slang and culture the hood still uses today. Even though he's gone, his influence is still alive, and the younger rappers from the 60s still shout him out in their songs, keeping his legacy going. But then, 1994 hit hard. Banger T was taken out in a way that left the whole 60s community reeling. Word was it was an argument with his girlfriend that led to his death. Someone from his own crew allegedly took him out over a woman. Losing him was huge. He wasn't just a part of the crew, he was the heart of it. Fred Hill, narrow escape. Now, fast forward a bit, and we've got Fred Hill, who was almost killed by his own gang members. This wasn't the rapper Snoop Dogg, but another OG, Big Snoop from the 60s. Fred was known for his serious street rap and was said to have even helped coin the name the Rollin 60s. Over the years, he earned his place as a key figure in the gang, especially when the 60s were battling other sets like the Bloods and Hoovers. He'd done time for attempted murder, came back to the streets, and even spent some time as a gang counselor in the 90s, but he never fully stepped away. In the 2000s, he was named in a gang injunction, still active and respected in the streets. Then came 2005, when things got really messy. After the death of another Rollin 60s member, Fred called a meeting to rally the crew. Everyone was supposed to wear white shirts to show unity, but one guy, Little CJ, showed up in black. Fred called him out in front of everyone, and that didn't sit well. CJ left, but came back packing heat. He shot Fred twice, hitting him in the wrist and head. Fred survived, and initially he cooperated with the cops, even pointing CJ out in a lineup. But as the case went on, Fred flipped. He backed out of testifying, claimed he didn't know CJ, and pretended he had no memory of the incident. Even though Fred and another witness recanted, CJ still got convicted and is locked up for life. Quando Rondos-ish. Now to round it off, we have to know that Big U is not innocent of all the charges packed against him. He actually kind of implicated himself in an interview with a Breakfast Club when he talked about the whole Lil Durk and Quando Rondo situation. According to Big U, Quando didn't check in with him before the shooting, and that's a big no-no in that world. Big U seemed to imply that he might have known about the whole thing beforehand but didn't act. And some people are even saying that this is Big U admitting to extortion live, which definitely adds fuel to the already burning fire.
But they don't really with us until it's a problem. Then they call him. Like Quando Rondo. You can't call me when the fire hot. You didn't with me before that.
At the end of the day, it's clear that the Rollin 60s aren't just a threat to the outside world. They've got enough internal issues with jealousy, disrespect, and unnecessary flexing of power.
Well, within
That's crazy, gang. Yo. Hey, chat. What y'all think about that, man? What do y'all think about that, man? Damn. You ain't a 60 till you kill your own. Why would anybody want to be a part of that? That's crazy work. That's crazy work. What y'all think? Y'all think Big U going down for this shit, man? Y'all feel like he got a fighting chance? I don't know, man. It's like they stacking shit up against him. And when the feds come get you, I heard the feds got a 99.9% conviction rate, some crazy shit like that. Almost like, boy, them motherfuckers about as accurate as a DNA test. That shit crazy. That shit crazy. But make sure y'all sub up, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Turn on the post notification bell. I'm also gonna be dropping these on my Twitch, my YouTube, as well. So y'all can, if y'all don't follow me on either one of those, y'all can follow me. You know what I'm saying, on either one or whatever the case may be. So you'll still be able to get the latest videos and documentaries that we're gonna be dropping. We're gonna follow this thing until the wheels crack, man. You feel me? RP to that boy Nip, bruh. He was definitely doing some influential shit in LA. And they definitely need more leaders like bruh out there that's willing to be on the front line and get this shit to change, man. You feel me? Straight up.